Hello everybody, this is Catholic Dad, episode number 96, The Point of Life. The point of life, I've talked about it in prior episodes, but the point of life is, right out of the Baltimore Catechism, is to know, love, and serve God in this life and be happy with Him in the next. And so the point of life is knowing and loving and serving God, but it is also being happy with Him in the next, which means the point of life is also death, meaning that you will pass on. Everybody will pass from this planet. And so I guess this is just something to meditate about over who's ever lost a loved one. That if the point of coming into this world and having the blessings of this life is the natural end point of death, then coming in this world must be a wonderful gift, but also leaving this world also must be an equally important gift. And so we, as mortal people on a mortal coil, that we have to meditate about what the purpose of our current life is on this mortal coil, so we can prepare ourselves for the end times in our passing. And if the point of life is death, and the point of life is judgment of God, being happy with Him in the next, then we have to prepare ourselves spiritually to do the right things throughout our life to make ourselves in the best possible place upon the passing of this life. Now, for those who ever lose somebody who, a dear loved one, if the point of life is death, then death is not something to necessarily celebrate, but it's also not something not to be knocked over with. It's not a tragedy that ends your life. It's just another passing point. It's another bump in the road in terms of life. And some people, they become so overwhelmed with grief when they lose a loved one that they can't possibly function. And that's not helpful to the people around them, because when you have jobs and you have responsibilities and you have people you have to care for, you need to not be incapacitated by tragedy in your life. And so if someone near and dear to you dies, realize that that is the natural point of life, is death, and that although you can grieve, you have to prepare yourself to deal with tragedy in your life so that when that person does pass, you can make yourself useful to all the other people around you in case they have a harder time with the tragedy than you do. And if you could do that, you can really be, in the passing of someone near and dear to you, you can actually be a beacon of light to people who do not know how to deal with tragedy as well as you. If you understand the point of life is death, and you understand that the passing from this world is not necessarily a horrible thing, then you can actually make the people's grief better. You can make the tragedy better. You won't become incapacitated, and you'll be able to serve your community members and the family around you and all the grieving members in your family. And so think about that. The point of life is death. It's to know, love, and serve God in this life, but be happy with Him in the next. And so prepare yourself for sure, but don't be knocked over by tragedy. Don't be incapacitated by tragedy, because it's not something that's completely unexpected if you know the true, genuine course of your life. The point of this life is not to die. It's not to live as long as possible. The point of this life is to live a good life and a virtuous life so you can be happy with Him in the next. And so thank you. God bless you. Pray the rosary daily, get the Mass, and have a nice night.